live. I'm going to take a deep breath. There's always some energy that begins right as I start to go live. Hey there, welcome. And so I was just finishing getting ready. Hi, lovely. And I'm going to be going out tonight. And so I'm really excited to go. And so before I do, I decided that I wanted to go live earlier. I've been going live lately, like right before bed. And although it's kind of cozy, it's not the best for my energy. So I am seeing how things feel and adjusting my commitment to, hey love, I'm adjusting my commitment to, I'm not adjusting my commitment. I'm still going live every day for 30 days, but I am doing my best to get to the computer earlier. Oh, thank you, Lauren. And so I'm going out to dinner tonight. So here I am earlier, so I'm very proud of myself, and I'm sure you can relate where you're trying to shift some things, and sometimes it takes some awareness and perhaps like just a little push within yourself. I have like a hair that's going in my face. So anyway, so I'm here, and yeah, I always feel energy when I start, so I'm taking a deep breath in. And feel free to join me, letting it out. And so it's been an interesting and beautiful day, and so I feel like I was asking what is highest and best for me to share today, because this is for you and it's for me too, right? So this is for me to experience myself fulfilling my commitment, and also listening to my intuition, right? So I had an intuitive download to go online on social media for 30 days, go live 30 days in a row. And so I am listening to my intuition. Then I'm also experiencing myself staying with my commitment regardless of any excuses that I could have. And so it feels good. It feels good to do this. So today was, it's cloudy here. Those of you that are not in Florida, it's cloudy here. It's not raining like it's been, but it's like this weird kind of ominous type of energy, but also kind of magical. And but my system is definitely getting affected with like headaches and brain fog. And so I know there's been a lot of light codes coming in. I haven't checked the solar flares, but whatever it is, I'm pretty sure I'm feeling it. So I've been outside a number of times to get grounded, and even have my feet in the pool to connect with water. And but I got my little booty over to Casa Bliss to take a yoga class. It was really nice with Hillary. It was gentle. And I was telling my friend Cheryl, and hi Cheryl, I was telling Cheryl that, when Cheryl and I first met, I was in a different space physically. So I was practicing only vinyasa and ashtanga yoga for the most part. And then a lot of hardcore exercises like boot camp and running and all that stuff. And now my practices have become much softer and much more slow, and so gentle to me is really beautiful. And perhaps I will share about my yoga journey, because there is a story there. There's a reason that I'm not practicing a lot of vinyasa these days, but that's for another day. But what was really nice is that beyond the physical and the spiritual, like physical connection and spiritual connection, I also was really craving community. And this is something that I wonder how many of you feel and are in touch with. I know for me, as I am naturally I lean more towards introverted, and I get a lot of my downloads when I'm by myself or especially when I'm in nature. And I've had so many awakenings through spending time alone and cocooning. But what's been coming through over the last, couple of months is the sense of community is a new need of mine, a new desire. And so thank goodness I'm a teacher at Casa Mana Bliss, and so I get to connect with some beautiful teachers. And then today it was really nice to connect with students, other teachers that I've known over the years that I saw, and even some yoga students when I used to teach at the Seagate Country Club, and then she was asking me about pet sitting. So everything was kind of intertwining. And then I got to practice next to a newer yoga teacher that took his teacher training at Casa, and we were talking about some stuff he's been through, and I felt like I got to hold space for him, and I could see his face really light up towards the end, and that made me feel really connected and great. And so yeah, it was just beautiful to be in community. And it feels like lately this is a universal thing that there's a greater need for community. Maybe it's just me. You guys can feel free to comment and let me know your take on it. But my take feels like that there was a lot of us doing a lot of individual work with, connecting to source, connecting with our higher selves, which is a very important part of our expansion and, for lack of a better term, awakening. And now it seems like it's getting more amplified in community. And I didn't think that would ever apply to me, but it does. And it reminds me of a conversation I've had with my grandma, which is making me giggle right now inside, because she just comes up with these like Evelyn-isms, and I love them, and I always say I'm going to write them all out in a place. But oh, thank you. I'm so happy this resonates with you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, my grandma says these Evelyn-isms, and she was like, she'll say in this one moment, she was like, people need people. And then she started singing like Barbra Streisand, which I won't torture you with me trying to do that. But it's true. And I've even been called to collaborate more. I did do a collaboration in January, and I've been talking to a couple other people, and so keep your eye open for some of that coming in the future this year. But it does feel like that our talents and our abilities and our energies get to intertwine to multiply the goodness. And yeah, it just seems like there's something very magical there. I know that over the years, whenever I have sat in circle, and typically they're women's circles, but even in my group, sometimes there's been men, and there's just so much that amplifies and magnifies. I know in my Wednesday night class, I treat it like a workshop. So everybody gets to share and share their voice so that the energy changes, and there's something that magnifies when we're in a group. And I can see my own personal experience over the years transitioning, because I used to not want to be in groups to meditate, or even with yoga, a lot of times I wanted to practice by myself. With yoga, less so, because there was some kind of beautiful thing, especially with a vinyasa class, when everybody's doing that deep breath in and deep breath out. There's a flow, there's a magic that happens. But with meditation, I used to feel like I was too sensitive to be in the groups. But now it just feels like it's magnifying so much beauty and just an expansion. It seems like everybody's energy starts to raise its vibration when we're together. So it's super powerful. And that's what happened for me today. So when I left there, I just felt like I connected with so many people that were just in a really positive space, and and I felt people just kind of, we were hugging and just saying beautiful things to each other, and I was just keenly aware of how the energy starts to rise for each person as we connect with each other, and there's something amazing about that. And and then I got home, and I definitely felt like I was a little bit tired and affected by the energies of today. But there was a beautiful combination of we don't have to do all one thing. When I'm coaching people, I always talk about both and, right? So there doesn't have to be one thing that happens that's like the right way, right? So there are gray areas, and the way we feel gets to shift and change. So sometimes the best thing you could do is be outside by yourself, and sometimes the best thing you could do is just be in community. I mean, I've even gone to class sometimes where I've had so much alone time that I'm like, I know that I need to not be alone, even if I don't talk to people, just being in the energy. And other times I'm like, I've had enough people time and I need to be by myself. So I'm curious, you guys can put it in the comments. I don't know if I'll be able to see it here, but I can see it after. If you are in touch with your body's messages that let you know when you would best benefit from being in community, and when you would best benefit from having alone time with yourself. And if it's changed for you over the years, right? Because a lot of us are empaths and we feel other people. So it's also really important to be discerning, not judging, but discerning where your energy is best held, right? So as I mentioned before, circles, like sacred circles, are so important to me. And I've had some of the biggest breakthroughs being a student or participant in a circle, and also leading circles. So it's powerful for everyone involved. I see a comment here, yes, and sometimes too much. Do you mean too much alone time or too much outward time, too much humaning? Let me know what you mean. And yes, do my best to with conscious community. Yeah, hey Eliana. Yes, and there is a difference when you're with a conscious community. And so one of the things that I had done for a while as I started to come back into community more often is that I wanted to determine who I'm with, right? And being around in a conscious group, it feels, especially once you are more sensitive and empathic, feels better than just in, like a party crowd type of thing, at least for me. And also, I've evolved from there in my perspective, in the sense that as we continue to evolve and open, is building our resilience, so that we could be around any type of crowd and still feel protected, guided, and grounded and safe. And so, as we start to, that's where I got into more of training in somatic work, right? So that I can center myself and feel grounded and connected regardless of who I'm around. Now, of course, I'm not talking about going into like high crime areas, but what I'm talking about is, for instance, Ram Dass always says, if you think you're enlightened, go spend a week with your family, right? So typically, like our closest people are the ones where we'll get the biggest test to see where we can still stay grounded and connected to our higher selves. Because a lot of times when we're with the people that have known us the longest, we revert back to old ways of being. I think it's cellular memory. I'm not even sure why we do that. Maybe some of you who have studied psychology would know better as to the why. But I know that that's the what that does happen to pretty much everyone. And then the work is, how quickly can we come back? How can we shrink the space from where we are to where we want to be? And there's another comment here. I could tell when I need alone time. Sometimes noticing my cues is an overwhelming process. Heck yeah, it can be overwhelming. And I think your name is Gracie. I'm just looking at the Gracie 077. And thank you for sharing that, by the way. And yeah, noticing the cues can be overwhelming. And I know when I work with my clients, I talk to them about checking in and setting an intention before going into spaces, right? So if you come to my Wednesday night class, I always have I invite everyone to set their intention for class. And when I coach people one-on-one, I talk about how we can set intentions to do anything, any mundane thing, like down to sending an email. And then if you're noticing that it's overwhelming once you start to notice, you might be noticing after your body's already given a couple of cues. So a lot of times the body will give a message and then another one and then another one, and it gets more intense until we shift. So perhaps setting the intention before you go in to be aware of my body while I'm also connecting with people so that I can fulfill the needs of myself quicker, right? Or asking for a clean, clear message when it's time for me to go. Or you can even set a plan to like go to the bathroom after 20 minutes, 30 minutes to check in with your body and see where you're at. Those things might help. And so it's interesting because as we flow from like individual beings to community, and we are all one anyway, right? Oh, you're so welcome. It's my pleasure. And it's been my experience to do the same. And so there have been plenty of times where I've gone to the ladies' room and, hey, Erin, I've gone to the ladies' room and just checked in with how do I feel? Check in with my gut, right? Or for me, also checking in with my jaw. That's where I feel things, and checking in with my heart. And so that is the work. And of course, there is sometimes when we are going to need to take breaks, maybe even long-term breaks from certain crowds that have activated our nervous system, perhaps until we become more resilient. And I touched on that in one of the other videos. And I know that doing that, it does have the risk of losing people, right? Because if we take a prolonged amount of time away from people as we're building up our resilience, it is possible that they might not be welcoming when you come back. So yeah, we can all be discerning about how long we need space for, and everybody could approach it differently. And also it depends on the intensity of what you're receiving. But the goal is to come back to resilience so that we can stand in our power around any type of crowd and still feel grounded. And even just saying this out loud sets the intention that this is true, right? And time is multidimensional, so it's already happening on another dimension once you declare it out loud. So setting the intention, I can be in all spaces and be grounded and connected to my heart, and be connected with source, be connected with earth, and that I know that I'm always okay, I'm always supported. And if I ever feel wobbly, I can bring myself back quicker. And that, of course, I have a whole toolbox of ways to come back. To my grounding, to my heart, to myself. And also there's patience, right? So sometimes as we're growing and we feel wobbly sometimes, certain situations might take longer to come back. And can we let that be okay? Can we let it be okay that we're in process sometimes, right? So, what if the time doesn't take as short as we'd like it to, but we know that we're building the strength, we're building resilience? Can't that count? Can't that mean something? Yes, it can, right? So, like I noticed, I've been paying attention to where am I being hard on myself? Because I noticed some things happening for me in my outer world. And I know that we are in a universe that mirrors back to us what's inside of us, right? So it could also be called the law of attraction. But we are in a place of where the world mirrors us. So if something is happening outside of us, it is a call to see where that's also happening inside. Which, like in the last video, I think it was the last video or two of them ago, I talked about radical responsibility. So not blame, but where is this happening in me? So that's my next level of healing. And now I forgot why I was saying that. I was channeling, and then it just kind of, I guess because is still sensitive for me. But anyway, the whole idea is to be able to notice these things without judging ourselves and without judging our process. And when we can look outside of us and say, maybe I don't see it right now, but if this is happening out here, it's happening in here somewhere, and I'm willing to see it. And I feel like once we say we're willing to see it, it gives us permission to be imperfect, right? So I've been looking at where have I been hard on myself, and then I'm catching it, and I'm giving myself extra love, extra patience to things that are super sensitive, and it's feeling really good, but it's taking a lot of patience and slowness to slow down. And those are that's the kind of work that we can do alone, but then it's really nice to share in a group too. And I know that when I held my Ignite Radical Radiance group program last year, there was a lot of that sharing. But at first, everybody was real afraid to share because they were still kind of in that programming, like sister wounding, that people were going to judge each other and we can only show up in our light and our power. But then as the modules went on and I got to show them little by little how you can feel safe and in your power, and the sharing just accelerated everyone's healing. It was so beautiful. Oh wait, I see a comment. Sometimes the channel just leads you somewhere and the human can't catch up. Yes, Erin. I love you so much. Erin sees me very well. And yes, that's true. Sometimes it's like a million things are coming in and then it's like, woof. So, and that's that's actually a similar thing to what about when we're in a crowd of people where, maybe they're not consciously minded, like Ileana was saying, maybe they're more partier people, and how can we receive all that energy that's outside of us and come back? Deep breath and come back. And so it takes practice, and I feel it also takes around being a conscious community. So yes, we want to build our resilience, and in a way and then we want to actually come back to a place where we can just expand and be ourselves and, take off our shoes, take off our bra and just be, right? So, so it's really beautiful to be in this process. And I'm so grateful that being in community is more of a desire for me now rather than something I'm forcing myself to do. And I love hearing that you guys are also in that process of noticing, okay, sometimes it could be intense when starting to feel like being in community is a lot, and sometimes it needs to, we need to get quiet. But how beautiful to have both, right? So you're having that resilience and connection to God, connection to source, connection to your higher self, and knowing that you can be alone and not feeling incomplete because you're not being surrounded by somebody reflecting things back to you, and also you're in a group and you don't feel like you have to run out of there because the energy is so intense. I see a comment. I agree and completely relate. Great journey. Oh, yes, girl. Yes, I see you, Lauren. Yeah, and it's beautiful because then we find each other, right? It's not a coincidence that we're all here on this little group right now in this little moment that I jumped on live. And so it's like we can cheer each other on and say, I see you, and it's okay. And if there's a day where you're in the group and it's overwhelming, it's okay. You'll come back. You find your grounding practices, and and I could keep sharing about grounding practices too. I know I've had times where it's taken me longer and it's taken me shorter to come back, just depending on what it was, how I felt physically too. all of the things come into place. Let me see. Can you explain channeling more? Sometimes I wonder if this is applicable to me, but I did not grow up with this kind of spirituality. Yes. So, you know what? I'm going to write a little note about that, and maybe, because I'm going to have to jump soon, but maybe I'll talk about the clairs in another video. And so, to me, what channeling could come through many different ways. Channeling could come through in writing. I usually start my clients with opposite hand writing, where you breathe and we do grounding practices first, and then ask a question with your dominant hand, and then write the answers with your non-dominant hand. But if you're feeling like maybe you're clairaudient, where you can hear messages and you know it's not you thinking, that's channeling. If you have just a knowing, so that would be like a claircognizant, like you just have a knowing about something. That's something that you're downloading. You're downloading in from your higher self or from source. And so if you notice that you're noticing things, that knowledge that you have without knowing why you have it, then you're probably channeling. And so for a long time I didn't know that's what I was doing. I would have never called it that before. And in fact, a lot of times I would just get scared and shut it down. And but as my intuition expanded, and then there was times where it was just undeniable, so I've become more comfortable calling it that. It's just like a way of being. It's just a thing. And I can even share, like, if you meditate, this will expand for you, because for me this expanded through meditation, through being able to get quiet, through being able to become more conscious of energy around me. And so, Gracie, if you're looking to expand that, I would even say, like, what helped me too, I have crystals here with me right now. Well, you could see I'm wearing crystals and I have crystals with me. Crystals are a great way to help support you in that. There are ones that will help you with your upper chakras and meditating with them, but also just the meditation itself, getting quiet and feeling energy around you, and noticing what thoughts are yours and what thoughts aren't, and that will help clear you. And then of course having Reiki or energy work done to clear your channel will help too. Erin, wait, there's a comment. Meditation was the gateway to my channeling gifts too. Yes, exactly, me too. Right, so I would say, Gracie, meditation would be the first step. I know that's how, I'll save the story for another live, because I'm doing this for 30 days anyway, but I will share. I had messages before that, but there was one moment where it was my first really clear one that had me sit up out of the meditation and jump up, and I was like, oh my God. I got a very clear answer to a very big life-changing question, and I'll share that in another time. Wait, here's another one. Lauren is saying, mine as well. That was the start of my healing. Yes, I know, Lauren, you've been amazing with your meditation and getting clear, and those messages have been coming through, and I've seen you through that, and that's so beautiful. Oh, thank you, everyone. So, all right, I have to jump because I have to go get to go take care of the doggy, and then go meet my friend, my dear friend, my former client, who's my dear friend. And so thank you for sharing your hearts and your questions. It's so beautiful, and I really appreciate it. And I'll be live again tomorrow. I'm going to start doing it earlier. I haven't decided on exactly the right time, but today this was the time and it was perfect. And so thank you for being here with me. It was actually perfect because we were talking about the power of community, and here you are commenting. So thank you for creating this sacred space with me, and how amazing that we could do this online. It's amazing. Thank you, loves. Sending so much love and looking forward to hearing more of what's coming up for you.